In Cuba, the EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy described keeping Cuba on the list of countries that support terrorism as an outrage. In the United Kingdom, hundreds gathered in Parliament Square to demonstrate against the Public Order Bill, a new legislation designed to limit the right to protest. And in Serbia, President Alexander Vucic resigned as head of the ruling party amidst border tensions with Kosovo. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from TeleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. European Union High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy Josep Borrell assured that keeping Cuba on the list of countries that support terrorism is an outrage. The statement came during a meeting held with Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel concluding the third Joint Cuban-European Union Council on Friday. The European official also condemned the U.S. blockade imposed against the island for more than 60 years and ratified that the political dialogue agreement prevailing between Havana and Brussels is key. For Cuba, this third council is a confirmation of the will to build a better bilateral relationship.
I also strive to maintain the unity of all in the vote of the United Nations against the blockade that we have achieved so far. I also strive to make everyone understand that including Cuba in the list of countries that support terrorism is an outrage and that it has no justification. One can disagree with one's political system, but it is another thing to say that Cuba supports international terrorism.
For his part, President Miguel Díaz-Canel highlighted the historical ties in the relations between Cuba and Europe, adding that relations in different fields have improved.
We are very pleased with the implementation of this agreement with the European Union, and I believe that when you analyze the relationship between Cuba and Europe, you always find the historical and cultural ties between Cuba and Europe are a pillar to facilitate today. And in the future, the strengthening of all of our relations in different fields. I believe that both in the political and diplomatic areas, as well as in the cooperation area, there is a path that has been organized and that is giving results.
After holding talks with Cuban authorities in Havana, the European Union High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy announced the EU's Special Representative for Human Rights, Eamon Gilmore, will visit the island in November.
To announce that an important part of this new cycle of dialogue will be the representative of the European Union for Human Rights, Mr. Eamon Gilmore, our special representative for human rights issues around the world, and I hope that this very important dialogue between the European Union and Cuba can take place at the end of November.
In Venezuela, after 15 years without renewing authorities, Central University, the highest educational institution in the country, suspends elections. The elections were suspended after the university electoral body confirmed irregularities committed during the process. For the election were invited active students and graduates, professors, workers and administrative staff, active and retired, members of the UCV's community, and denounced the management of the current rector, Cecilia Garcia Arrocha, who they accuse of alleged acts of corruption. The University Council fixed for June 9th the repetition of the elections, where rector, vice-rectors and deans of the 11 faculties, among other authorities, will be elected. The voting is organized by university authorities themselves without any participation of the national government or electoral authorities.
There's always an excuse, always this, not that the TSJ, that's enough, tell the truth. They don't want to let go because they are stealing the money. They are stealing the money. They've got the poor teachers struggling. They've got the teachers scrapping. Teachers who give their lives to teach, to educate, to prepare the future of the country. They think we are fools, that we are not going to do anything because we are always very peaceful, but that's enough.
On Saturday, United States local media indicated the White House and the Republican Party U.S. debt ceiling negotiations show signs that a deal could be reached by the end of the week. Previously, Treasury Department Secretary Janet Yellen warned Congress that the nation will run out of money before June 5th if they do not raise the debt limit. On Saturday, Republicans said they had not yet scheduled any in-person meetings with their White House counterparts, although they added that they are in constant communication through calls and other electronic channels. If the debt ceiling is not raised from its current limit of $31.4 trillion, the country could suspend social security payments and the salaries of its federal employees, in addition to the negative effect in the global economy affecting prices and mortgages rates in other countries. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy on Saturday reiterated he is confident that an agreement to raise the public debt ceiling will be reached before the June 5th deadline.
There's a change in Washington. Not just is this place open again, not just that you can read it, but the bill itself is much better. There's not runaway spending. There's actually doing things, repealing money that you've already spent from a rescission. It could be the largest rescission in the history of America. I mean, there are ideas in here that people have really talked about from common sense around the kitchen table that they might actually see happen.
Demonstrators from various organizations, including Extinction Rebellion, Black Lives Matter, and Republic, marched in central London against the Public Order Bill, a new legislation designed to limit the right to protest in the UK. Demonstrators condemned and described the government's controversial laws on protests as draconian and authoritarian. Protesters gathered in Parliament Square say the bill could curb the right to peaceful protest. The Public Order Bill introduced new offences, including locking on, a tactic used in recent years by some environmental protesters to fasten themselves to a protest point, going equipped to lock on, and interfering with key national infrastructure.
We've got a rich tradition of non-violent direct action and protest in this country, and now, little by little, this is being chiselled away by pieces of legislation like the Public Order Act. It also gives arbitrary powers to the police. They say, oh, we've got these powers, but we might not use them. We probably won't use them. We'll only use them if we need to. But that makes it at the whim of the Commissioner or the Chief Inspector or the Home Secretary. They want people to stay home.
The government has taken on absolutely crazy restrictive new powers, making it almost impossible really to protest legally. If the police, they can stop almost any arrest and any protest, arrest people in advance and so on.
So the government is trying to stop people from protesting, stop us from speaking up against its wrongs. And it's dangerous because if you don't speak up, they'll continue to have even worse policies against the people.
Let's take a short break now, but remember you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. All the stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back from the South. Serbian President Aleksandar Vucic resigned as leader of the country's ruling party. During a congress of the Serbian Progressive Party, Vucic announced his resignation as head of the party. He pointed out that although he is separating from the leadership of this political organization to form a non-partisan movement of citizens who seek to defend the interests of the Serbs, he will not stop working together with the party authorities. During the Congress of the Progressive Party, the current defense minister, Milos Vucevic, who had been proposed as a candidate by the outgoing president, was elected as the new leader. Vucevic pointed out that the political organization will remain faithful to the ideals of defending Serbs in any part of the world, including those in Kosovo. This Saturday, Spain has started its period of reflection prior to May 28th elections. The electoral ban is a break for citizens to analyze without the noise of campaigns their electoral decisions. For many, this Saturday is of special importance due to the accusations of vote buying widely spread. In response to the tensions expected by the authorities, 99,000 police officers will be deployed as of Saturday, the largest security deployment in the history of an election in the country. This Saturday in Mauritania, around 400,000 citizens went to the polls again to elect their representatives to the National Parliament chamber. This round concerns only the deputies, since municipal and regional councillors were elected in the first round last May 13th, where half of the deputies had already been assigned to the ruling INSAF party. In this regard, the National Independent Electoral Commission confirmed that voting took place in 18 cities of the country and in several foreign countries, including France and the United States. However, the results were criticized by the whole political class, claiming massive fraud, and the opposition demanded a rerun of the elections. And on Sunday, May 28th, the people of Turkey will go to the polls to elect the president of their nation in the second round of elections in what has been announced as the country's most important election in generations. Citizens expressed their views on this election day.
This is definitely a very important election for our country, but if you ask who's going to win, nobody can tell. It's a neck-to-neck election.
For the continuity of our state and its prosperity, it is essential that everyone goes out to vote. Quite frankly, the economy is a very important criteria for my vote. I am a mother of 3 and I know how hard it is to make ends meet. There are a lot of things lacking, which is why I think it's the most deserving who should win. What's important is the people.
Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan on Saturday attended a ceremony at the Adnan Menderes Mausoleum in Istanbul on Saturday, paying tribute to his Islamic predecessor. Erdogan's tribute to Adnan Menderes Mausoleum occurs on the eve of a historic runoff election. Erdogan has pointed out he wants to continue Menderes' fight for religious rights and nationalist causes in the officially secular but overwhelmingly Muslim republic of 85 million people. 2 weeks ago, in the first round of general election, Erdogan beat the secular opposition leader Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu by 5 percentage points. However, failing to pass the 50% threshold sparked the held elections on Sunday, May 28th.
As we go to the polls tomorrow, we look forward to announcing to the world that the era of coups and juntas is over. The participation rates in the election are a sign of our nation claiming its independence and future through democracy. Turkey has demonstrated its difference by organizing the election in a transparent and fair manner, as well as the level of participation which is globally unprecedented.
On Saturday, several ships of the Atlantic Alliance are taking part in joint exercises scheduled by NATO in Helsinki, the capital of Finland. According to a statement from the Finnish Navy, the Norwegian Coast Guard corvette Nordkapp, which is leading the group, as well as the French mine hunter Pegasi, the German minesweeper Rottweil, and some Finnish Katanpää vessels are expected to take part in this training. The transatlantic organization thus inaugurates Baltops 23 in the Baltic Sea, where they will demonstrate its defensive and offensive capabilities. On April 4, 2023, Finland became the 31st member of NATO. This annexation allowed NATO's land border with Russia to grow from 1,300 kilometers to more than 2,600. On Saturday, the Russian government assured that it has not ruled out the possibility of breaking off diplomatic relations with the United Kingdom. The spokeswoman of the Russian Foreign Ministry, Maria Zakharova, explained there are serious indications that the government of London could be involved in the planning, organization and support of the attacks carried out by Kiev against the Russian territory. The Russian diplomat acknowledged that this is an extreme measure, but it is within the options, as Russia warns and denounces the repeated efforts of the British government to support a government that she described as neo-Nazi. A pipeline administration building in Russia was severely damaged on Saturday after an explosion caused by a drone attack in Pskov province in the northwest of the country. Local governor Mikhail Vedernikov reported that the explosion occurred when 2 unmanned aerial vehicles were flying over the Litvinovo area on Saturday morning near the border with Belarus and Latvia. The official assured that the incident had left no injuries and no fatalities. He also explained that the emergency services are working at the scene of the incident, where they have launched investigations into the incident. So far, the origin of the drones has not been identified. TeleSUR English continues to grow. You can now tune in from 33 different African countries through StarSat. Dial 461 and enjoy Latin American alternative broadcasts. One final short break, we'll be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back from the south. The war in Sudan has moved to the northern city of Darfur in the border area with Chad. The conflict is estimated to leave over 1 million people displaced. After hitting Khartoum, the country's capital, violence hits western Darfur, residents fleeing to Chad and in smaller numbers to South Sudan, claim that the battle for power between the army and quick rapid support forces have taken over their territory. Parliamentarians denied the accusation. According to the International Organization for Migration, over 319,000 people have already left the country, while more than 1 million moved between different cities to save themselves from violence. The government of Iraq unveiled on Saturday an ambitious plan to become a regional transportation hub by developing its road and rail infrastructure linking Europe with the Middle East. Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani announced that once completed, the $17 billion project, known as the Development Route, would span the entire country, stretching 1,200 kilometers from the northern border with Turkey to the Gulf in the south. Iraq's government has given priority to the reconstruction of the country's road network, along with upgrading its electricity infrastructure. This project, as a pillar of a sustainable non-oil economy, will serve Iraq's neighbors and the region and will contribute to economic integration efforts, Sudani stated. On Friday, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said Russia is ready to supply Somalia's army with military equipment in its war against terrorism. Russia's top diplomat said Moscow reaffirmed its readiness to meet the material needs of the Somalian army in its fight against extremists that remain on Somalian territory, including Al-Shabaab and Al-Qaeda. Somalia has faced numerous attacks from Al-Qaeda's East Africa affiliate group, Al-Shabaab, and recently the government embarked on what has been described as the most significant offensive against the Al-Shabaab extremist group in more than a decade. The extremist group has held back the nation's recovery from decades of conflict. On Friday, the Democratic Republic of the Congo is looking to strengthen their partnership with China as the two countries are renegotiating mining contracts for DRC's mineral reserves. This first state visit to China by the president of the DRC, Felix Tshisekedi, is the latest in a series of diplomatic exchanges between African leaders and Beijing. Mr. Tshisekedi and his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping announced that they were upgrading the bilateral relationship from a win-win strategic cooperative partnership to a comprehensive strategic cooperative partnership. China is a major investor in the DRC, where the Asian power dominates the lucrative mining industry with companies such as Seco Mines. Calls for aid increased in Nigeria on Saturday for thousands of people displaced by violence that erupted 2 weeks ago in Central Plateau State. According to local officials, at least 170 people have been killed as a result of the violence, while reports confirm that tensions remain high after the initial attack on May 15. The recent crisis is one of the many security challenges facing President-elect Bola Tinubu, who takes office on Monday. Meanwhile, it remains unclear what triggered the attacks in Plateau's Mango district, but tit-for-tat killings between herders and farmers often spiral into village raids by heavily armed gangs. In this sense, the National Emergency Management Agency said that more than 3,000 people were displaced and over 700 houses were partially or completely destroyed. On Monday, Paris will negotiate with different countries to prevent continuing pollution from tripling if no action is taken on time. Environmental pollution has doubled in the last 20 years and less than 10% of what is discarded is recycled, resulting in threats to health and biodiversity. The United Nations Environment Assembly created in 2022 in Nairobi an intergovernmental negotiating committee in charge of drafting a legally binding treaty by 2024. From May 29th to June 2nd, the deal will be resumed, with the work already planned by UNESCO in Paris. And in Netherlands, the thousands of Dutch climate activists blocked the A12 highway in The Hague on Saturday to respond to a call by Extinction Rebellion in an effort to stop the Dutch government handing out subsidies to fossil fuel companies.
The 30 billion that the Dutch government pumps into the fossil fuel industry through subsidies every year. This is absolutely face this. There's no reason why the Dutch government should subsidize the fossil fuel industry at a time when we should try our hardest. We should give everything that we have to get rid of the fossil fuel industry.
I think that so many people are so worried about where it's heading towards the climate crisis. And we just want to give out a voice, a shout out, that we need to do something and take action, and especially our government, who's just slacking. So it's time to take action and stand up.
And we have come to the end of this news brief. Remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website, TeleSUREnglish.net. Also join us on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.